Hey there, Internet. How's it going? Welcome to another episode of the John Graves Show. And today I wanted to talk to everybody about a little thing that I really wasn't going to talk about. It's something crazy, and it's about the game Evolve. And it's about them making their DLC, or at least it's about them adding in like an extra $130 of DLC into their game. Apparently, from what the article says, it says, or at least from what it states anyway, is that the DLC in which that they did necessarily create, it wasn't something that was covered in the season pass. It wasn't covered within like a pre-order. It's just something in which that they pretty much did, adding like way more weapons and skins and a lot of aesthetic things, pretty much adding up to upwards of $130, or just a little bit over that. I think it was 135 or 138. I'm not necessarily sure, but I mean, like, adding in taxes and so on and so forth, it's also a thing of like it could possibly be more. But you know, it's a good thing that the online circuit, they don't really tax you. But hey, that's something that's in a whole nother note, or at least that's a blessing. So, pretty much getting into my point of this video, it's a thing of, I look at this and I'm like, I usually kind of had the argument of I don't really understand DLC. I mean, I really never had a problem with it per se, you know what I mean? Because I kind of think that DLC, or at least looking at it from like Borderlands or Borderlands 2's perspective, it was a thing of, I purchased this game, I play it, you have a lot of stuff in there. It's something in which that I played through the game, I enjoyed the entire story. You gave me a season pass and promised me like four extra stories of DLC, and I'm like, okay, fine, I can go ahead and do that. I can go ahead and enjoy that. But then, and even with that, it's like they gave me like four extra stories of DLC, way more levels, and also they gave me like a whole bunch of brand new weapons and weapon types and classes and enemies and so on and so forth. And this wasn't something that was released day one. I didn't have to pre-order the game day one to get these like brand new extra stories and stages and guns. I mean, sure thing, you can say that for Borderlands 2 with them making the legendary like skins and the specific head mods and stuff like that, which really they were missing a big thing with that, of saying like, you know, we could add on way more power and and weapon precision and skills onto each head for like each character. But you know, doing that probably would have hurt the game way more than helped it, because a lot of people would have been running around with like the exact same head. But I digress on that note. However, getting into this though, I mean, like, from what DLC is today, it's something that I do kind of have a serious problem with, because DLC, in a sense, it turns into a thing of I am essentially just spending money, a lot of money, to pay $60 for a game which has a DLC thing which could have just been unlockable in the game. Now, again, I'm an old school gamer, which is honestly the reason why I did like Metal Gear Rising as much as I did, because every single sword and action in the game was actually downloadable, with the exception of the Blade Wolf and the Jetstream Sam stories. But again, just like Borderlands, it was something that wasn't necessarily necessary to play the game. It was just something that was added on to add a little bit of flavor to the game. Essentially, it's more like filler in anime terms. Thinking about it like that, it's something there to add on to this character in which that I really kind of liked, and they added like a little bit more feeling to him, which is something that I do really appreciate. But then I look at games like Evolve, and I'm like, you are making me spend $130 just so I can get, or at least like if I really wanted to get the full experience, I would have to spend an extra $130 just to get all this added on stuff. I look at games like Asura's Wrath, and I'm like, you take away the last four chapters of the actual story, so I gotta spend $2 just so I can get the full story of the game, something that should have been there from Jump Street. I look at games like Metro Last Light, which is like, you take away the hardest mode and put that behind a paywall, because essentially there was no reason for me to go ahead and do that. And honestly, this is my last thing against Last of Us, but honestly, I look at that game's DLC and I'm like, look, you promised us way more story. And not information to a story in which that we already knew the conclusion to. A brand new story, something that we'd never seen before, and something in which that we would have been proud of to go back and play and say, okay, fine, I wanted to play through this whole game all over again, and it added some light upon this character or some light upon this character. It didn't. It only highlighted this one character, which is, I'm actually happy that, yes, they did kind of go through and they did like show us like another 2 chapters of Ellie's story, but where it is placed and what happens in there, it feels as though as that this should have just been in the main game. Honestly, it feels as though as that it was in the main game. They just ripped it out and just made a DLC because that's what they had to do. And the DLC in which that we did get after that, it wasn't any more story stuff. It was just way more clothing and way more aesthetic things, which is something that I look at it and I'm like, so I spent another $20 just so I could play the online mode, something that really, yes, it is fun, but none of these clothes add anything. They don't add another level to the gameplay. They don't add anything new. All this could have just been in the game. Or if you wanted to make these clothes and put them into the game, or pretty much you wanted to make these texture skins and put them into the game, you could have just put them into the game as just normal unlocks. I mean, I understand it. I understand the whole thing behind DLC. And yes, if it's used right, you know, in like the 2 examples in which that I have necessarily presented. And if you do have any more good examples of that, please tell me. But other than that, like from those 2 games, I've pretty much, I mean, like for Borderlands and what else was it? In Metal Gear Rising, you look at games like that and it's like, these are just games in which that I want to play, I want to have fun, and I really like the stories, and I just want to get me like another level upon to the characters. The other games before just kind of just add things in there for like no real reason. I mean, hell, even the Tales games get this right of pretty much saying like, look, you don't have to download our stuff, but honestly, if you want like a few extra levels and some costumes which do add extra specs and do actually like give you like a few extra bucks like in the beginning, essentially they're telling you to buy like a starter pack. If you do want it, go get it. If you don't, you don't have to. But that is what I got to say about that. Please tell me what do you guys think about it down there in the comment section. And if you do have any examples or pretty much you do have anything to say about that, please let me know in the comment section and I'll catch you guys on the next John Graves show. So please keep watching anime and keep playing video games. I'm out.